Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into a really tough topic, but one that affects every single one of us: forgiveness. It's something we all struggle with, right? But what our sources show us is that really getting a handle on its true power can, and I mean this, it can completely change your life.
So let's just dive right in with a question that I think gets to the very heart of it. That feeling, the one, where you're just replaying a hurt over and over again in your head. It feels like you're trapped by a memory, by a person you just can't seem to shake. It really does feel like a prison. And this quote, which you might have heard before, absolutely nails it. It highlights a huge, crucial truth. When we hold on to that unforgiveness, we think we're punishing the person who hurt us. But the reality? The only person being hurt is us. We're the ones drinking the poison day in and day out. Okay, so let's really unpack that idea, this prison of unforgiveness, because it's a really strange kind of prison when you think about it. As our sources point out, you are tragically both the inmate and the jailer. You're holding the keys to your own cell. And make no mistake, the cost of staying in that prison is incredibly high. The sources are so clear about this. Refusing to forgive isn't a sign of strength. It's a massive burden. And the damage? It isn't just in your head. It shows up as real physical illness. It cuts you off spiritually, and it means your life is being run, not by you, but by something someone else did in the past. So, if holding on hurts us so badly, why doesn't fighting back work? Our natural instincts kick in. We want revenge. We want to actively hate the person. Why does that just seem to make everything so much worse? Well, the answer is actually pretty fascinating, and it comes down to a psychological concept from Augusto Curry. He calls it the RAM phenomenon, and it basically explains why you can't just force someone out of your head. It's a total paradox. The harder you try to forget them, the more stuck they get. And here's how that vicious cycle works. You pour all your energy into hating this person, into trying to exclude them from your thoughts. But your brain sees all that intense focus and goes, whoa, this must be super important. So it archives that person in a special high-priority spot in your memory. And the result? They end up with more power over you. They're ruining your sleep, they're at your dinner table, they're living rent-free in your head, while you're the one doing all the heavy lifting. So if fighting back and trying to forget just makes the prison bars stronger, what in the world is the key to getting out? Well, to answer that, we have to really understand what forgiveness truly means. And this is where we have to blow up some of the biggest myths. Forgiveness is not some warm, fuzzy feeling. In fact, the sources say you will probably never feel like doing it. It's a conscious, deliberate decision. It's not forgetting what happened. It's, as one source beautifully puts it, remembering it without the pain. And maybe the most important myth to bust, it is not for the other person. It's for you. I mean, the sources are just crystal clear on this. Think of forgiveness as an act of self-preservation. When God asks you to forgive, it's not some favor to the person who hurt you. It's to protect you from the damage, the poison that unforgiveness is causing in your own life. It is the antidote. Okay, so getting what forgiveness is one thing. But how do we actually do it? How do we walk that path from the prison of pain to actual, real freedom? The very first step, according to our sources, is to get a handle on the immense personal stakes. And this is laid out so powerfully in a story Jesus told about a king and two servants who owed him money. So, in the story, one servant is forgiven an absolutely astronomical debt. We're talking something like 150,000 years of wages. It was completely unpayable, an impossible amount. But then, what does that same servant do? He turns around and refuses to forgive a coworker for a debt that was 600,000 times smaller. It was basically nothing compared to what he'd just been forgiven for. And this is the gut punch of the story, the consequence. When the king finds out, he is furious. He takes back the forgiveness and hands the servant over to be tortured. The message here is stark, and it's for us. Our own state of being forgiven is directly connected to our willingness to forgive others. Holding on to unforgiveness literally throws us back into a prison of torment. All right, so once we really understand the stakes, step 2 is all about a radical shift in perspective. It's about completely changing the lens through which we see the person who hurt us. This quote from Augusto Curry is it's a total game changer. Behind a person who hurts is a hurt person. It challenges us to look beyond the offense itself and to consider the pain, the brokenness, the baggage that probably caused them to act that way in the first place. As one speaker, Devive Leonardo, points out, as you mature spiritually, that anger can start to morph into a kind of compassion. You start seeing them less as this evil villain and more as a victim of your own story. Now, this doesn't excuse what they did, not at all, but it reframes it, and it allows you to choose compassion over anger, which is what finally breaks the emotional chains they have over you.
So when you actually do this, when you make that journey, you understand the stakes, you shift your perspective. What does life even look like on the other side of those prison walls?
Well, the incredible true story of Corrie ten Boom gives us a powerful glimpse. Here's a woman who survived a concentration camp where she watched a guard brutally murder her sister, Betsy. After the war, she starts preaching about forgiveness. And then one day she comes face to face with that exact same guard. And in that impossible moment, she makes a choice. She extends her hand to him and she forgives him. And she later described this unbelievable wave of freedom just washing over her. And look, this isn't just some abstract spiritual idea. The sources and modern science all back this up. Forgiveness is one of the single most powerful things you can do for your mind, your body, and your soul. It has a direct, positive impact on your emotional health, your physical health, and your spiritual peace. Ultimately, what it does is it allows you to finally put down that cup of poison. It lets you live a lighter, healthier life where you're no longer controlled by what someone else did to you. You finally take your power back. So we'll leave you with this final thought from all our sources. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone else off the hook. It's about unlocking your own cage. The key has been in your hand this whole time. The only real question is, which prison will you choose to free yourself from today?